So, everything's in
I'm just trying to survive. I'm just trying to survive while doing a daggone DIY. Welcome to another Mobile Mention Monday episode. If you're new here, this is a series of us documenting beginning to end a total transformation makeover of our 1991 double wide we just recently purchased. We are going start to finish and showing you guys weekly updates of what we got done within that week. So you guys get weekly updates as to where we're at in the makeover, what area of the house we're working on, what renovations we're starting on, what renovations we finished. All of those things you get weekly updates in these videos, and it basically goes over everything we've been working on. In the last episode, we showed you the complete demo of our back porch and how it started out as just a little stain makeover and it ended up being a complete demo, and this week we're working on building it back. I don't go looking for trouble. Trouble just finds me in the form of me rolling down a hill, or me tripping over my feet, or me stubbing my toe. It just finds me. In happier news, not of me rolling down the hill. By the way, I think I messed my brain up. I literally heard it jingling a little bit in my head last night before I went to bed. I don't think that's normal. B, I also said my ABCs wrong when Shane was trying to make sure I was okay and like follow the finger and stuff. And he was like, say your ABCs. And I said A, B, C, G, D, E, G, like messed it up completely. He's like, sing Slim Shady, and I got everywhere that right. So I know I'm okay. I'm just a little bit concerned as to why I'm hearing jingle bells in my head. The mustache is thick today. It needs some bush hogging at night.
excited for Christmas.
Shane thinks I'm just excited for Christmas. And happier news, guess what we did? We bought our first ever bundle from Lowe's. Are we DIYers now? Nope. Nope. Let me tell y'all what we're doing today. This kind of looks green. It's not because it's ill, it's because it's pressure treated. So I've been researching my life. You did it again. I've been researching my life away when it comes to building this deck, because I told you guys I want to do things right, and I can't do things right if I'm ignorant on how to do those things right. Can't be winging this. Like, I have a lot of house to pay off. We can't wing it this time, y'all. I mean, I am winging a lot of things, but when it comes to like structural things in my home, I am not going to wing it. Will not wing it. So I've been doing my research, literally writing stuff down, taking notes, doing all the things I need to do that I don't like to do, but I need to do in order to make sure we get this right. So this right here looks a little green because it's pressure treated wood. But it is kiln dried pressure treated wood. And what that is, if you don't know what it is when it's kiln dried, it's ready to use. You cannot stain over pressure treated wood if it's still wet, because the wood can't absorb the stain like it's supposed to. It'll give you cracking, a lot of ugly mess. It's just not fun. You usually have to wait like weeks to months in order for it it usually takes weeks to months for pressure treated wood to dry out, unless it's kiln dried. And kiln dried is when it's basically put in an oven, an easy bake, and it's dried out and it's usable and stainable right away. I'm not sanding this because it is torn. The internet is torn on whether you should sand pressure treated wood or not. I'm gonna go the not route, because pressure treated wood is just wood infused with a crap ton of chemicals, which is why it's not ever a good idea to use in your house. You need to use this outdoors where it's well ventilated and stuff. Look at me. Look at me. Lowe's, hit me up for your how-to segments. I got you. But this is just infused with a crap ton of chemicals. So anytime we're using wood outside, it's going to be pressure treated and it's going to be kiln dried. So kiln dried, whenever it's kiln dried, it is legally a thing. I don't know if it's all over, but in Tennessee, they have to put KD as a stamp on the wood, which they've done here. If you're unsure of if your wood is kiln dried or not, also you can do a splash test, a sprinkle test, and it's where you sprinkle a little bit of water on the piece of wood. If the wood absorbs it, it's dried enough to use. If it does not absorb it, it is not ready to use, and you need to let that sucker dry out. Disclaimer, if it wasn't already apparent, I'm not a professional, and I'm just telling y'all what Google told me. Don't shoot the messenger. So because somebody graciously let us borrow their truck, we had to get smaller pieces unless we wanted to go like rent a U-Haul. I was about to rent a U-Haul to carry the stuff to my house. I was literally about to do that. But we can't carry 14-foot pieces like we needed in that truck. It's already weighed down. It's been weighed in the balance since I'm wanting it. So
like, please put me out of my business.
He's low riding. So because we have that truck, thank you Jesus, we have that truck to use, we were able to get 6 feet or 8 feet. 8 feet pieces of wood. There will be a seam, and because our skeleton is made like this, we have to keep those boards coming this way, because if they go that way, they're not going to be put down correctly, and there's going to be some faultiness going on, and we don't want none of that. So we're going to lay them the way that they were, because this is what the frame was built for. Boards facing this way. But we're going to have a split, because we cannot get 14-foot pieces of wood to us. Found out later that actually Home Depot delivers, but it takes them like a week ahead of time. It says next day delivery. It's not next day delivery, but well, it isn't here. So we could have got 14 pieces delivered. It just, we found that out after the fact. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a seam, whether we're going to have a piece of wood seaming that off to make it look more clean. I don't know. We've been playing around with the idea of putting a piece of wood this way and then continuing on this way and kind of doing the shortboard deck look. If you Google shortboard decks, like they do them in all sorts of patterns. Either going to do that or either just going to leave a seam there. I don't know. Depending on whatever looks better, that's what we're going to do. So they'll just be a split. Do decks normally have splits? This is my first time being a decker. So we'll just leave a split then. If it bothers me too bad, there are such things as wood filler I can play with, but I don't think it's going to bother me too bad. We're also going to have furniture out here. I didn't want to do the short planks, but we read it actually does benefit you when building a deck because, what does it say, Shane? What did it say? My infomercial is gone and I'm just chasing it at this point. I was on a roll and then I rode off a hill. No pun intended. There's benefits to using shorter planks in your deck, and that's sturdiness is one of them. I know Shane was telling me last night, we were reading an article. Sturdiness is one of them, and I can't remember the rest. Merina, put why it's better to use short planks in your deck than long planks, or the benefits of short planks in your deck, please. And thank you very much. Past Merina, greatly appreciates it.
Do you want them both to be the same?
Yes.
Exact.
They have to be, Shane. They have to be.
Why?
Because why wouldn't you make them both the same exact?
So, I mean, like an inch difference. You're not going to be able to tell that.
I am.
So, all we're going to have to do is just, we'll cut it down to 7 feet each.
Yeah.
We'll just do it that way. Now,
the good thing is you have that sucker to just zip it and go.
Well.
Now.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm not sure if after cutting both of them 7 down, if I'm going to be able to half them on here. But here's where having extra pieces that we shave off, I will attach the extra pieces here and we'll have extra to be able to drill into. Does that make sense?
Sort of.
Secure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's what we're going to do. Let's get over here and take a look and see how to operate this saw.
It took us longer than I'm comfortable saying, trying to figure out how to lift this miter saw. It's going to take 88 pieces of 7-foot wood to do this deck, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
44 plus 44. 44 on the back, 44 on the front.
Trying to get to you when you're on the low. Trying to get to you when it's on the line. Had enough, had enough, had enough. Trying to tell you that it's time to give it up. Trying to tell you that you're never gonna shine. It's enough, it's enough, it's enough. But when you're going down, falling to your knees, it's time to believe. Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up. No matter how it hurts, you're gonna let it bleed. No matter how you feel. Rise up, rise up, rise up. When you've had enough, when the crowd gets rough, gotta stand up straight. crowd gets rough, gotta stand up straight, gonna rise like a champion. When your cloud goes dark, when you lose your heart, gotta stand up straight, gonna rise like a champion. When you're looking for a place to heal it, searching for a rhyme and reason, just stand up, stand up, stand up. We're all gonna take a beating, and I said it was gonna be easy. So rise up, rise up, rise up. When you've had enough, when the crowd gets rough, gotta stand up straight, gonna rise like a champion. When your cloud goes dark, when you lose your heart, gotta stand up straight, gonna rise like a champion.
I'm screwing down the wood screws into the joists that were already there. Originally we thought that we were going to have to take these down because of a little bit of crumbling that we found during the demo, but they seem to be in really good condition. I think they did use pressure treated wood for underneath. There's two types of pressure treated wood. There's pressure treated wood you have to use above ground, and then there's pressure treated wood that you can use in the ground. And I believe they used that extra pressure treated wood whenever they built the joist because it was a totally different kind of wood than what the deck planks were, the ones that were rotting from the inside out. It's about crack of dawn, but we need to get, I got lint from the bed still on me. We need to get this done. It's a great day to be alive, hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. I'm gonna work on measuring while Shane's going to get breakfast, because it's a weekend, baby. I got about, I'd say, 50 more boards to measure. I did this hack where I put my working clothes, because I have pajamas for working and pajamas for sleeping. I did this hack where I put my working clothes, I know, I got the dogs out here with me because they were wanting to come outside whenever I woke up. I did this hack where I slept in my working pajamas so I could just roll out of bed and come out here and work on this. Did y'all ever, whenever you were in school, like wear your school clothes so you could sleep like 10 extra minutes in the morning? That was me last night and this morning. I literally pretty much beat the sun up. No, it beat me, but only by a little bit.
You got ice like summer sky. If you're smart, could kill or die. And now it starts to rain, so let's enjoy it. I can't believe that this is real, and the way you make me feel, you make me wanna sing, and so I do. So if you want, I'll be right there. Anything you want for you, my sweetheart. I'll be by your side, and when I do get to see your smile, I'm up in the clouds and now we're apart. It will take a little longer to get you off my mind tonight. You keep telling me you're shy. If smart could kill or die, there's no need to rush. If something is meant to be, I really felt for you, and I want you to be mine. 'Cause you make me wanna sing, and so I do.
I think I've got about 16 to 18 of these measurements done. I've been measuring 75 and an eighth. And that's for the back row back there that you see we've got started on right there. 75 and an eighth for that one. I think I've done enough. I've done 16 to 18 of them to finish this side over here. And I need to get started on the next measurement. The only problem is I don't know what the next measurement is because boss ain't here. I have the ideas and Shane has the skill and he has like all the info in his head. I know what I want, but he knows how to make it happen. He's literally a genius when it comes to like making what I want come to life. I'm gonna show you though, in case you're like a baby to doing DIYs and stuff and you're kind of afraid to start. Don't be afraid to start. I'm learning every day, and I've been learning for the past 2.5 years. Like, I've been learning something every day, and little things like what I'm about to show you matters whenever you're going to build stuff, especially when you're building it with lumber. So if you don't know this, don't feel bad about not knowing it. You gotta ask the question before you get an answer. I'm just here answering questions that haven't even been asked yet. So what Shane taught me, okay, and this sounds like it's common sense, but like I said, it's not to everybody. Everybody's in a different area of their life. I learned things at 32 years old that right now that other people would think is kind of embarrassing, like homemaking stuff. But I learned those things because I ask about those things. And even though it's embarrassing to me sometimes, it makes me probably look dumb sometimes. Dumb, because I don't like using that word to describe a person, but like what others would say as dumb. Other people could call me dumb because I ask common sense questions, but I ask them because I have the will to learn what that means, to learn what that thing is. If I didn't ask questions because I was afraid about what people would think, that would have set me back so far. I wouldn't have learned half the things that I've learned in the last 2 years if I hadn't asked questions. It sucks sometimes, and it does embarrass me sometimes, but me being the best I can be for my husband and my family and for God, it's worth it. It's worth looking a little ignorant sometimes to me. So, I've got my measuring tape out here, and Shane told me to measure 75 1/8. So that's what this little area is right here. I mark it with a pencil, like so. See that little dot there? Mark it with a pencil. And then, I'm going to use one of these little things right here, okay? And it's got edges on it. And the edge goes up against this piece of lumber, and it does that so that this can be straight. So it lines up with the side here, scoot it up, okay? You're going to set your pencil on this dot so that it doesn't bump it up and you get the wrong measurement, okay? You're going to set the pencil on this dot, slowly bring it up to it, and make yourself a line. That's how I've been getting all my measurements, because I've measured for every one of these. Y'all, me, Shane trusted me to measure all that. That means a lot to me. He would have not trusted me a year and a half ago to do measurements. But Shane, he trusted me to get all these measurements right, and I've got every single one of them right, and it's because I've done what he told me to, and he taught me how to get it right the easy way. My glasses are fogging up a little bit. Look at that. I got dew on my glasses. This ain't dew on my face. This is sweat. Got these last two, so that makes either 18 or 20 now that I have, because I did have 16 to 18. Now I have 18 to 20. I don't know the measurement yet for the front ones, but I'm gonna see. There comes Boss right now. He's coming with the food. What'd you get for breakfast, Ray?
What?
What'd you get for breakfast?
Toasted. Girl?
What'd you get to eat, Ro?
I have no idea.
You don't know?
Well, I think I do.
You think you know?
Yeah.
Look how many I've done.
Oh, we ready.
This is the brand that Shane uses and he loves. And this thing, though, look at these little like starfish looking things. These right here, they look like kind of like tic-tac-toe pieces. These are deck spacers. You just saw my gross feet. These are deck spacers. And what they do is they go between the thick part right here. It goes between the pieces of wood. And you push them up against each other to screw them down. And it gives it that deck gap. And they're not like flush together. Put one on the very end of one side and the other one on the very end of the other side, and it spaces them out, and then while they're in there you just screw them down like you guys saw me doing last night. It's super easy.
These boards right here right now are reaching this wood right here, and that's because the door. Thank you, Miss Moon. That's exactly what I was going to tell him. Anyway, the door is pushing it out a little bit, but once we get past the door, they should start coming down again. And anyway, the edge gets right here on the end of this, and I don't want to chance that. She jumped that. I don't want to chance that, so what I'm doing is I'm putting these here for just added support. That is a good baby, Mama. And she jumped it.
I'll be right there. Anything you
So because we're bringing the porch out a little bit more than what it was right here in this area, in this little squared off area, there were steps originally, but when we demoed it, I decided to take it out, the actual deck surface out a little bit further, and then do steps further than that. So we're having to kind of make a frame to continue the frame so that we can lay planks safely on this side where there wasn't a frame to begin with. So Shane's just literally replicating the frame that was already there so that we can add planks to this side of the deck. While replicating the frame, he was also adding some support pieces and making it a lot easier for us to drill down into some joists like that. So he made our joists a lot bigger so they wouldn't have been as big of a headache as the joists that were already there. He also missed a screw right here. You can see on that far one at the very back, there's a screw sticking out. He had to go back and fix it because he noticed it and he was like, dang it! He liked the way that he did the support pieces on the frame part that he built, so he's actually going back and adding more support pieces to the already existing frame just to make it easier to screw down the planks into the joist. He's making the joist thicker basically.
What they say doesn't really matter what they do. Baby, got me breathing now. Breathing now. Doesn't matter where I go. Heart still open, can I close? Baby, got me breathing now. Breathing now. Welcome to this one-way ride. We're all on it. Got to give it a go. All we got is hope. Don't you know? Wipe the floor of yesterday. You can change it anyway. And you're never alone, never alone. Doesn't matter what they say. Doesn't really matter what they do. Let go, baby, let me breathe it now. Let go, breathe it now. Doesn't matter where I
made a huge mistake. So this is my fault because I am the designer. Why does anybody ever let me design anything, man? Shane was just doing as I said. So I convinced him and he told me not to. I'm pretty sure I have it on audio somewhere, on camera. Him telling me, Merina, that's a bad idea. But do I listen? No. What does God call Israel in the Bible? Is stiff-necked? I'm a stiff-necked people. So it's a big problem. And I'm over halfway done with this deck. Let me show you how far we've got. You got spider web on you. There you go. Gotcha. I got you. So the deck is 3/4 of the way done. We just had this little section right here. This little section right here. So let me show you what I did. So we couldn't carry the 14-foot pieces in that little truck. So we butted them. This is called a butt seam. Now, I'm not just saying that. I know I'm going to have one of y'all on there saying, Marina, I thought I told you to watch your language. Because there's that handful of people that tells me not to talk like a toddler and to watch my vocabulary. But it is called a butt seam. I'm not making that up. You can look it up. The only thing is, a deck is not supposed to have a butt seam. It can have a seam, a piece of wood going like vertical if it's going horizontal, or horizontal if it's going vertical. But it can't have a butt seam because it looks like that. Half of this deck is already done that way. So what am I going to do? I don't know if Shane, I dread Shane coming home. I don't dread him coming home. I always want him home. But I mean, like, he had to do another Lowe's run for wood. And when he gets back, I dread telling him when he gets back that we might have to saw this stuff. I don't know. Either A, I'm going to have to saw it while it's attached to the frame so that I can have an area here that I can put wood going that way and make a wood seam, which looks better than a butt seam. Or maybe I can try my hand at wood filler. The only thing is, can you put wood filler on a deck? I don't know. I've Googled it. Can't get a real clear answer. Some people say no, some people say yes, which is about how Google is. People will tell you to Google stuff all day long, but honestly, if you Google things, you're going to get 5 or 6 different answers on a subject, and they're all going to be conflicting, and they're all going to be different. So, I might be able to play with some wood filler on this butt seam. I'm sorry. I try really hard. I've got a few handful of friends on here, and honest to God, I consider y'all friends, and I love you so much. I cannot stand it. But when I tell you I have said dookie for my entire existence on this planet, I have said dookie for my entire existence on this planet, and turd, and all those things. I have the vocabulary of a 4-year-old little boy. So I try really hard. I try really hard to limit the amount of times I say that. I'm going to say it regardless because it's just me. I mean, that's my vocabulary. But because a handful of people don't like it, I will try to be respectful of you and say it less than, I normally do. But the butt scene still made me cackle when I read it. How we get here? I'm just telling y'all, my deck has a butt seam. I've got to figure out how to fix it. I'm either going to have to saw to fix it, or I'm going to have to play with wood filler and kind of use it as like butt cream. Like, it's the destin of decks. God knows Shane's not going to want to saw and put a seam in the opposite direction. I know he's not going to want to. He will for me, because God bless his soul. He's beautiful. He's a beautiful person, and he will do anything he possibly can for me if I ask him to. But I'm not sure I want to ask him to do that since he's been working so hard. He's been working really hard on this deck, and I have screwed down almost every entire plank. And I've been trying to pull my weight and kind of, because our DIYs, Shane's the mastermind, right? He's the doer, he's the getter, doner. He's always the one that's very active in our DIYs. And I wanted to, when we moved here, I wanted to kind of pick up my slack because I'm not very handy and not very coordinated. I don't want to just be the designer. I want to help him, and I do, but I want to help him more. So I've always helped him, but I want to help him more. And I want to kind of challenge myself to pick up the tools and to measure. And that's why you guys have seen me doing that a lot in this video, is because I made a promise to myself that I never wanted him to feel burdened by our project, making over our home. I don't ever want him to feel burdened, and he hasn't ever told me he feels burdened, but I just don't. It's a lot on your shoulders whenever you're the only one wielding the tools and stuff. So I'm trying to challenge myself to do different things and not just be give me the screwdriver, or give me the flathead, or give me the Phillips screwdriver, give me the hammer. So I've actually screwed down all of these boards except for 9. Shane screwed down 9 of them, and I've gapped them. With the deck gapper, the little deck spacer, I've spaced them with that. I've measured pretty much all the pieces. Shane has been working the saw like crazy. That's kind of been his job with this project, but that's been taxing on his brain. So he's worked really, really hard on this project for me. I'm gonna get his input, and I'll let you guys know. Because in this video, we're kind of framing out everything, because the next video next week, I want to be the last video of this porch. I want it to be completely done for you guys by next week, by the next episode. So we've got to figure out something quickly. I'm not rushing these. You guys are getting episodes weekly, and that's because we're spacing it out. Everything that we do on this house, we're spacing it out over a week's time, because this is my full-time job, but it's not Shane's. Speaking of Shane, hello. Hey.
Sorry, I saw where you called. I left my phone in the car.
Took my head out of the sand. We're all in it, better. Open your eyes, see the open sky. Don't you know? Shake whatever brings you down, all that ties you to the ground. 'Cause you're never alone.
I just had my hair get into a fly strip, and look at all these dead bugs. Oh my gosh, Shane was picking out dead bugs out of my hair.
Blue Jane. Oh. Well, that is not going to. Damn bugs. I got me a project today. You guys see this middle post here? We're going to make this middle post disappear. And apparently we're going to have us a nice pretty fireplace insert similar to what we had in the single wide.
So this time going into something as big as a fireplace built in wasn't anything for Shane because he has experience under his belt now. He has all the knowledge. He's got experience in framing. He did this in record timing, less than 2 hours. He had this entire frame and everything, the measurements done and all that for the fireplace built in, versus last time we did a fireplace built in, you guys remember it was in the trailer, in the single wide trailer, and it was definitely something new to us, and it was out of our comfort zone, and it was one of the biggest makeovers we had ever done at that time. That was one of our first big makeovers. It was scary, and we were for sure that we were going to mess it up, but it ended up being one of the best makeovers we'd ever done. I mean, visually and structurally, it is one that we remember whenever we think about key moments in our DIY journey. That fireplace in the single wide was definitely one of those moments where we were like, oh my gosh, did we actually make this? So we basically are just replicating that fireplace built in, but doing it an outside version. We did have to modify some things. We couldn't get an internal fireplace insert. It had to be an external fireplace insert because it needs to be weather resistant and all that stuff. So finding an external fireplace insert was a little bit tricky. It was actually very tricky. It was really hard to find an external fireplace insert, and I didn't think it would be, judging how many people have outside electric fireplaces. A couple people said you could use internal, and a couple of people did, but with my porch being so open and it only being covered and not really surrounded with like a net for screening or anything like that, it's going to be hit with some weather, and it needs to be weather resistant. So I was adamant on getting an external fireplace insert because I want it to last a long time. You'll notice when Shane builds these framings for the fireplaces, he builds an outside frame and then he builds an inside frame. And the inside frame, he wedges into the outside frame. Framing can be scary when you're first starting out. I know for sure because Shane used to be afraid to frame anything. But really, as long as you have your measurements right, get you some good quality lumber and really good wood screws, and you can pretty much get creative with how you want your frame built, and as long as you have that structure there, it'll be good. I will say though, the best advice that I could give you with my little bit of knowledge I do have in this stuff would be, do not sacrifice the structure for the decorative or for the aesthetic. Do not sacrifice that structure, because if you don't have that structure, it's just gonna fall over. There are so many unique and weird and strange ideas that I have and that I would love to put out, you know, just take it off paper and put it here in real life, but I can't because there's no structure in it. And if you don't have structure in something and making sure that it's put, especially outside, you're gonna have a lot of issues, and I didn't want those issues. I spent a lot of our time in the single wide trailer going back and fixing things that Merina and Shane prior a year and a half to that did, and it's just because we were learning. It's not our faults that we were, you know, learning. We were learning by experience, but I spent a lot of time going back and fixing things that I didn't know how to do in the first place, but learned later on how to do. So I'm taking the things that we learned there and what we know now, and we're trying our best to do things in a way where we won't have to come back in and fix something. So we're going all in and all out, and that's why I'm doing a lot of research on things. I'm trying to watch and read and hear and listen to as much info as I possibly can, advice, tips, and tricks. Both Shane and I are open to all of that, and I think that's why you guys play such a huge part in this channel. A lot of other channels, especially DIY and home improvement channels, they're out to show you and teach you something. I don't have much that I can teach you guys, but I will say it's reversed on this channel. There is so much that you guys teach me. I have people who are married to contractors down in the comments all the time saying, Merina, you shouldn't do that, you should do this. Or I have men who have built houses from the ground up coming on here and saying, I'm on my wife's account, but I just want to let you know that you need to go back and do this. And that stuff does not bother me. It doesn't bug me. It doesn't get on my nerves. I am grateful and thankful for that. And I really believe we would know a whole lot less at this point if it were not for people like that in the comments. So never think that you're going to get on my nerves, especially if you have tips and tricks. That's the one thing that I really love about this community is y'all teach me so much, and you do it without judging. You don't charge me a dime for it either, and that's prime knowledge. So what we're doing over here is we're going to thicken this beam up. This is a support beam, so what I'm going to add to it, or have Shane add to it, is just thicker wood for aesthetic purposes, not for extra support or anything. This is doing just fine, supporting the roof. But we're just going to build decorative pieces around it to thicken it up and give it that modern farmhouse look that I usually go for.
All right, so we got the frame done. Now we're gonna frame out these pillar things here. I told Rena how I'm gonna do this. This is more of a cosmetic build. So it's not to support this or anything. These are fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach this piece to the stud itself. That will create the support for this frame that I'm building. And then I'm just going to box out around it. And yeah, it'll be pretty simple.
I'll definitely be sure to show you guys in the next video how exactly we frame out these posts and make them sort of modern farmhousey like I usually like them. There's going to be a lot more than what you see here. We've just got those laid up there for measurements. We haven't even nailed them in there yet, like, you know, actually nailed them in there. We haven't nailed them in there or anything. We're going to go in and do a lot of trimmings and things like that to make it look clean and cut and everything, and I'm really excited to show you guys how we do that. So in the next video, which is the final video that we're going to be doing the porch in, we've got everything framed out. That's what this video was about. The first video was demo. The second video was getting that foundation set and framing stuff out. The third video and the final video is going to be the cosmetic thing. So I'm pretty sure we're doing DIY furniture. We are definitely staining. I am going to try my hand at wood filler on the butt crack. We're going to be inserting the fireplace insert as well as doing some things that I got out my sleeve. We're going to be doing a lot of decorative and cosmetic things in the third and final video. This thing has been a project and we're only halfway done. There's a lot that's going to be going on in staining it and decorating it and doing the thing on the fireplace I'm wanting to do. So that'll be episode 3. I'm really excited for you guys to see how this turns out. I'm really excited myself to see how it turns out. And you know, I'm always like just running with whatever vision I have for an area. I'm always just running with it and hoping for the best. Most of the time it works out in my favor. Sometimes it does not, but most of the time it does. And I've really put a lot of thought into this, and Shane has put a lot of work into this. So I think it's going to turn out just fine and exactly how I want it. Once we get this part of the area of the home done, then we've got the first makeover in this home under our belt and we're ready to move on to the next one. I'm so excited. I can't stand it. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Don't forget that next week begins the regular uploads again. It's not just one video a week on Monday. We're going 2+ videos a week starting next week, back to normal how it was before. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. I hope y'all have a blessed morning. If not, whatever it is, wherever you're at, know that I love you, but Jesus loves you more. I'll see y'all later.